Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom Podcast. Tonight it's 7 ways why you're unknowingly stuck in mental autopilot. The invisible cage of a mental autopilot, most people never realize they're living inside a script they never written. For the moment we're born, From the moment we're born, we inherit a mental operating system from our parents and outside sources. And something I really want to iterate here is from the womb to 5 years old, everything, every word, everything you witness in your life or observe goes straight into subconscious representations. And it's shaped by parents, culture, survival codes, social obedience, and ancestor survival mode programming. Over time, this system becomes so familiar, so automatic, that we mistake it for truth. We call it thinking, being smart, or doing the right thing. But in reality, it's a mental autopilot, a loop of inherited logic that keeps us safe, small, and predictable. And I can witness that in my life because I wanted to make sure I stayed inside the railroad tracks of social obedience. Business on one side, education on the other, and I stayed in the center. These mind binds are subtle. They never shout, they whisper and silently control us. Don't be too much, stay in line, be good, never bold. Think it through, never trusting your gut. And so we perform, we obey, we repeat. Never because it's real, because it's rehearsed. Mental autopilot is never just a habit, it's a cage. It blocks intuition, creativity, innovation, imagination, and sovereign clarity. It keeps us chasing approval instead of sensing the vibrant veracity of our dreamers' dexterity or innovative talents, and keeps us stuck in social programming. Here's the liberating veracity. You're never your programming. You're your presence. And as you begin to listen beyond thought, when you activate energetic awareness, the cage dissolves. This is where sovereignty begins and you win. Never with rebellion, but with innovation and unfoldment. The definition of mental autopilot is mental autopilot refers to the brain's tendency to operate automatically, relying on habits, routines, and unconscious patterns to guide behavior without deliberate liberation or innovation. It's how we function efficiently, but it also keeps us stuck in outdated loops. Expanded definition: mental autopilot, according to psychology sources, mental autopilot is a state where your brain performs tasks, makes decisions, reacts to situations without any conscious awareness. It's driven by habitual behavior, implicit judgments, and conditioned responses, often shaped by past experiences, cultural norms, survival programming, and also comfort zone programming. You might be on autopilot when you drive somewhere and never remember the route. You react emotionally before thinking. You follow routines without questioning their purpose. Why it matters is while mental autopilot helps conserve energy and streamline your daily life, it also blocks intuitive clarity, reinforces inherited limitations, prevents sovereign decision making. In short, it's efficient, but not always liberating. So why does indoctrinated education embed mental autopilot and mind binds? because it prioritizes memorization over metacognition. Indoctrinated education teaches students what to think, never how to think or about how to think about thinking. It becomes the rinky dink, and it becomes whatever that teacher's answers were. You learn to follow the obedience of the teacher, and you really open up socialized obedience. Rote learning replaces reflective inquiry. Students are rewarded for repeating answers, never asking maverick questions, and, and they live inside assumptions. This trains the brain to operate on autopilot, recycling information without sensing the veracity and the liberation of what is being said. Wise insight. As curiosity is replaced by correctness, consciousness becomes conditioned. It reinforces obedience as intelligence. From early schooling, obedience is often mistaken for intelligence. Good students follow the rules, sit still, and never challenge authority. This embeds mind binds that equate compliance with success. Over time, people internalize the idea that questioning is dangerous and conformity is safe. Wise insight. Why a socialized obedience becomes the goal, originality becomes the threat. How come your talents threaten it? It makes people in the outside world uneasy, and so when you make them uneasy, you become uneasy and you hide your talents from you. It suppresses intuition in favor of external validation. Indoctrinated systems elevate internal metrics, grades, scores, rankings over internal knowing. Students learn to chase approval instead of trust their instincts. Is that you? It's me. I've done that. I've risen out of it, but intuition is dismissed as unscientific or unreliable. This disconnects people from their inner guidance and binds them into performance-based identities. Another wise insight is when intuition is silenced, sovereignty is sacrificed. Why mental autopilot binds the mind binds you and manipulates your daily life. It's loop logic. Familiar feels safer than free mental autopilot thrives on repetition. It convinces you that what's familiar is safer, even if it's limiting. You wake, react, perform, repeat, never because it's true, because it's known, and it keeps your comfort zone running smoothly. This loop logic resists change even when your soul craves expansion, energizing wizardry, setting you free. Result: you mistake comfort for clarity and routine for wisdom. How do you see that? How do you witness that in your life? I've witnessed that in my life a bunch, but not I've risen out of it. Inherited scripts. You're acting out of old survival codes and comfort zone programming. Your mind runs inherited programs from parents, culture, ancestral survival strategies, indoctrinated education, people you think you trust. That's your inherited programs. And that's something I really understand. The Thursday night's podcast is going to be why trauma and drama are inherited programs. Be good, never stand out, stay safe. These scripts were designed to protect, never liberate you and your sleek, unique talents to rise, shine, and energize your wisdom. Result: you perform identities that were never yours, chasing approval instead of understanding and witnessing your authenticity. Cognitive camouflage. It feels like thinking, but it's just defending. Mental autopilot disguises itself as thinking things through. Yet often it's just defending old beliefs, avoiding discomfort, or rehearsing fear. You call it logic, but it's actually resistance in disguise and being a servant to your past. Another result is you delay decisions, dilute desires, and deny intuitive veracity to stay the same. Veracity is the word that you never lie to yourself. Truth has opinions, viewpoints, and everything thrown in it, so it can be you can your uh, your frozen in time representations can manipulate truth to feed your ego. Why people are unknowingly stuck in thinking, knowing autopilot. They mistake mental repetition for mastery. Most people equate knowing with wisdom, yet what they know is often recycled logic inherited from childhood, education, social norms, uh, and people your teachers. This creates a loop where familiar thoughts feel true even when they stop serving you in any way. Thinking becomes habitual, never intentional. And autopilot takes over, and you're stuck in the mental muck of yesterday. They fear uncertainty more than stagnation. The mind is trained to seek safety through predictability. Thinking and knowing offer a sense of control, even if it's outdated and somebody else's way. People stay stuck in autopilot because questioning feels risky, while repeating feels secure, even when it blocks growth, creativity, and intuitive clarity. They confuse performance with presence. How does that feel? We confuse how good we're looking in the world, but we let go of our presence, of being awakened and aware of the there right here. In a world that rewards answers and expertise, many people perform knowledge to gain approval and avoiding vulnerability, their wisdom, and their astute agility. This keeps people in a loop of proving rather than sensing. Autopilot thrives when the mind is busy being right instead of being authentic. Why indoctrinated education, third world enslaving mindsets, and social obedientocracy is mental autopilot. Here are three canny key points explaining why indoctrinated education, third world enslaving mindsets, and social obedientocracy functions as of mental autopilot, subtly shaping behavior, suppressing sovereignty, and reinforcing inherited obedience. Indoctrined education trains compliance, never consciousness. Most formal education systems reward memorization, obedience, and standardized thinking. You're taught what to think, never how to sense the wisdom, insight, and clarity to rise out of the situation. Creativity is boxed, curiosity is graded, questioning is punished. This creates mental autopilot, a loop of external validation and internal suppression, hiding your wisdom from you. Liberating insights. When education becomes indoctrination, sovereignty becomes a rebellion. Then you stay in yesterday. Third world enslaving mindsets are survival scripts masquerading as wisdom. In many post colonial and economically oppressed cultures, survival thinking is passed down as truth, never as visionary liberating veracity. Never stand out, play it safe, stay small to stay alive. These mindsets were once protective, now they're restrictive. They bind the mind into scarcity, fear, poverty consciousness, and unknown inherited limitations from the outside world. Liberating insight, survival wisdom is never wrong, but it's never always relevant to your expansion. Social obediocracy rewards performance over presence. Society values conformity over clarity. You're praised for fitting in, never for being free. You're praised for fitting in, never for being free. Roles replace soul. Approvals replaces authenticity. You perform what's expected, never what's authentic to you. Liberating insights. Obedientocracy is mental autopilot dressed as social success, even though you're doing it somebody else's way. Why mental autopilot is mind binds. Autopilots recycle autopilot mental autopilot recycles thought, never veracity. Mental autopilot never generates fresh insight. It loops old programming. You think you're thinking, but you're often just replaying what happened yesterday. If you look at the world, it really replays history every day. These recycled thoughts feel familiar, so they're mistaken for wisdom. Over time, they become invisible chains, mind binding you to outdated beliefs, opinions, and viewpoints, worn out ways of life. Another liberating insight is when your thoughts are on repeat, your freedom and sovereignty is on pause. Autopilot protects the persona, never the presence. Your mind binds you into roles, masks, and performance that feel socially safe. You act out inherited scripts to avoid discomfort or rejection. Autopilot keeps you in character even when your soul wants to write the scene of your stunning, liberating trailblazer talents to ride hell bent for election to your fun of the sun splendor. The result, you obey expectation instead of embodying veracity. Liberating insight, mind binds, keep you rehearsing identity instead of revealing essence. Autopilot blocks intuition with illusions of logic. Mental autopilot convinces you that logic is king, sensing is suspect, and you overanalyze, delay decision, and mistrust your gut. I'm good at that, even yet. Are you? This creates a mind bind. You're trapped in thought while your deeper knowing waits in silence. Autopilot is never just mental, it's emotional avoidance dressed as intelligence. Liberating insight, when logic becomes a shield, intuition becomes a prisoner. You stay stuck in yesterday thinking you're moving forward. Why mental autopilots is mind binds. Autopilot recycles thought, never veracity. Mental autopilot never generates fresh insight, it loops old programming. Why mental autopilot instigates stubbornness and hard headedness stuck in your viewpoints, keeps you stuck in your viewpoints, opinions, beliefs, ancestor programming, parent programming, and comfort zone programming, keeping you stuck in old thoughts, thinking, and knowing ways. Autopilot protects familiar identities, even when it's outdated. Mental autopilot clings to old beliefs because they anchor your sense of self. You're never just defending an opinion, you're defending your persona. Changing your viewpoints feels like losing part of your identity. So you double down, never because it's it's authentic, because it's yours. Liberating insight. Stubbornness is never a strength. It's fear of dissolving the familiar self. Inherited programming feels like personal truth, beliefs passed down from parents, ancestors, culture, often masquerading as yours, your own viewpoints, opinion, wisdom. You repeat what you were taught, never what you sensed. That your sense sovereign activation. These scripts are emotionally charged, tied to loyalty, survival, and belonging to you, and keeps you safe. Challenging them feels like betrayal, so you resist even considering fresh alternatives. Liberating insight. When you defend might not, what you're defending may never be your truth, your veracity, or what you desire. It may be your inheritance from outside sources. Comfort zone thinking rewards certainty over curiosity. Mental autopilot favors what's predictable, even if it's limiting. You stick to what you know because it feels safe. Fresh ideas trigger discomfort, so you label them as wrong or irrelevant. This creates intellectual rigidity, a fortress of familiar thoughts that locks expansion into yesterdays and into your stress and tension of your life. Liberating insight. Certainty is cozy, yet curiosity is sovereign. Why mental autopilots are mind binds, minimizing company communication and lowers profits. Autopilot blocks authentic dialogue with default responses in the workplace settings. Mental autopilot causes employees to rely on scripted, surface level communication. People what's expected, never what's required. Meetings become echo chambers of politeness and jargon. Real issues go unspoken and creative solutions stay buried. As a business impact, poor communication leads to misalignment, missed opportunities, and costly misunderstanding. Mind binds reinforce hierarchy over collaboration. Autopilot thinking keeps employees stuck in inherited roles. Never question the boss. Stay in your lane. Play it safe. This stifles cross functional innovation and, psychological safety. Employees hesitate to challenge assumptions or purpose bold ideas or purpose or propose bold ideas. The result is stagnation disguised as stability. Business impact, innovation slows, morale drops, and profits plateau. Comfort zone thinking kills adaptive strategies. Mental autopilot favors routine over responsiveness. Teams repeat outdated processes because that's how it's always been. How do companies stay? And that's how it's always been. Leaders ignore intuitive insights in favor of rigid metrics. The company reacts slowly to change or expansion, or they never do it at all. Business impacts, market shifts are missed. Forgot my water. Market shifts are missed. Customers' needs go unmet, and competitors pull ahead. Why energetic liberation, energized listening, maverick questions, sovereign activation, autonomous expansion, politically incorrect inspiration, cowboy wisdom, outlaw optimism, spirit prowess, liberating lingo, express revolutionary revelations, energizes colorful curiosity, destroys mental autopilot, mind binds, ancestor programming, social obedientocracy, and comfort zone programming. Energizing listening, awakened sensing fresh foresight over obeying. As you listen with your energy, never just your ears, you begin to hearken what's real, never just what's rehearsed. Energized listening bypasses conditioned filters and tunes into resonance. It dissolves inherited scripts, comfort zone logic by fencing the authenticity and acumen beneath the performance. This intuitive awareness disrupts autopilot and activates sovereign clarity, liberating insight. When you listen and hearken beyond thought, you hearken the soul's jailbreak signal. Maverick questions ignite colorful curiosity that shatters obedient thinking. Maverick questions are never designed to be answered, they're designed to unravel the groveling and all the grit, bitching and belly aching and rising you to a new way of life. They challenge inherited beliefs, poke holes in ancestral programming, and expose comfort zone illusions. Politically incorrect inspiration and cowboy wisdom provoked the mind to stop defending and your scenarios of success to start wondering. This curiosity is never passive, it's revolutionary. Liberating insight, a well placed question can do what 1,000 affirmations never will. It can unwire you to now wire your wisdom, insight, revolutionary energy. Sovereign activation and outlaw optimism wire your nowality from inside out. Sovereign activation is never a rebellion, it's a here and now nirvana. It's the moment you stop outsourcing your truth to systems, roles, and inherited expectations to honor your vibrant veracity and hearken your own wisdom. Outlaw optimism dares you to dream without consensus, innovating from the soul instead of strategy. Spirit prowess and liberating lingo express revolutionary revelations that write your internal codes of celebration, optimism, dreamers, extravagance. Liberating insight. As you activate your sovereignty, you rise out of change in your mind and open up the change in your soul. But you rise energizing your frequencies of easy. While energized listening, maverick questions, and sovereign activation destroys mental autopilot mind binds. Energizing liberation bypasses thought, loops and tunes into to your vibrant veracity as dissolving mental autopilot that thrives on recycled thoughts and conditioned reaction. Energized listening bypasses a loop by tuning into the subtle energetic signals, body cues, and emotional revolutionary revelations flowing within you, intuitive nudges. It rises awareness from thinking about to sensing into this interprets a default narrative and unveils what's really beneath what's rehearsed. It dissolves inherited scripts by making space for unfiltered leadership presence. Sapient insight. As you listen with your energy, you hearken what your programming was designed to ignore. Maverick questions disrupt the default and ignite your inner revolt. Mental autopilot survives by avoiding discomfort, preserving identity, as maverick questions are designed to short circuit that safety loop. They never seek answers. They are on a voyage of unraveling all your unwanted stuff within you because they challenge assumptions, expose inherited beliefs, opinions, and viewpoints, and invite sovereign curiosity. These questions never just inform, they format your forthright fortitude to rise, shine, and energize. A sapient insight, a, a single well placed question can collapse a lifetime of unconscious obedience and social obedience. Sovereign activation claims the driver's seat from the default self mental autopilot as the mind is on cruise that puts the mind on cruise control. Driven by past programming, sovereign activation is the moment you claim authorship of your nowality. It's never rebellion, it's the unfoldment of your inner authority, unleashing your authentic acumen, agility, and audacity to explore your life your way. It destroys mind binds and replaces external validation with internal innovation and alignment. You stop reacting from habit and start innovating from essence. A sapient insight. Sovereignty never fights the system, it runs her irrelevant and opens you up to your trend setting talents. And as you open up to this and understand, we live on autopilot because a mental autopilot is kind of how we go through life. We hear something, we react to it. We never allow the investigative intuition within us question it. A lot of times, I know I'm guilty, we never question the situations in our daily life. We just allow it to occur. Anyway, I'm Robert Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom and Cowboy Wisdom Hypno Acuity, and may your night be as blessed as you are a blessing to me and the world.